Okay, so what I want to do now, I want to get these distant tree groups in. Behind where this centre of interest is, the people here, I'm going to make that lighter because I don't want, I want them to stand out, and I want it to look quite sunny behind them. So I need to show the distant trees, but not too dark in tone. So I'm going to mix a bluey colour, bluey green, more bluey than green, so I'm using Windsor Blue and raw sienna. So I'm mixing up this bluey, yellowy blue, more blue because I want it to come across as the distance. Got that there, so using the biggest brush still that I can, stops you fiddling, putting in, varying the height of these distant trees. Coming across. Now I want to vary the colour a bit, so as we go along, add a bit more yellow. Like I say, above these people here, I want it to be very light. So I'll just put more yellow and less blue, just round the people. Not going back into where I've laid the paint, just letting it do its own thing there. If I go back into it, that's when you get the dreaded cauliflowers that it's known as. Which means you get these rumbacks that can look not very nice depending on where they are, but they're best to be avoided in general. Changing the tone a bit, so adding a bit more blue, touch of burnt sienna in there as well, just to warm up certain areas. We'll drop that in while it's still wet. And back to the Windsor Blue, raw sienna. Just get this lovely bluey green for the distance. So you pick up another brush, just to dry brush, just to soften the tops of some of these. Not too much, yeah, so you'll get these rumbacks, like I say, that not very attractive. Coming down basically to the line at the top of the bank here, leaving a few gaps here and there rather than just making it a straight line. Just adds a bit of interest. Add a bit more of a brighter yellow there. A bit of Gambogian just to add interest. Right, that's it. I need to let that dry now. While that's drying off, I can just quickly put this supporting tree in the right. For that I use raw sienna and a bit of ultramarine blue this time. Just a bit of cadmium red to warm it up. So I don't want this to take over the show, but just suggest this in here. Using the side of the brush, getting the general shape of the tree there. This is a size 16. Part sable brush I've got here. Just a touch of red to just take that acid look off. So while it's wet, putting this tree in side of the brush, then drop in some yellow while it's all wet, and it will all blend in. Just give a bit of a shape there, coming down the bank. Put some burnt sienna here to drop in as well. Sort of these browns that you do see, especially this time of year. Right, I just need to let that all dry off now, and then we'll start on these foreground areas. Okay, so we've got the distant trees there that they've dried nicely. Just check, use the back of your hand, just make sure they've all dried. It's all dried fine. I think what I'll do now is work on this main tree that we've got here. So I want sort of a greeny grey for that. So I use some French ultramarine and burnt sienna. Burnt sienna will just make it look greeny, sort of a sunny green. I'm using a size 10 here for this main trunk. Now as I go to the smaller brushes, I'll keep using the same size brush until I can't get the fine lines that I want, and then I'll go down to, it's a 6 I've got here, 6, or you could use a 6 or an 8. So I want to make sure this is not totally symmetrical here, so what I want to do is bring these branches up. Now I'm using the side of the brush here. This is representing like groups of twigs and small branches. So I want to make sure this side, it's not divided down the middle. So and I have to exaggerate that a bit here by having a bit come much lower here. That's better.